Hey guys, hey, I got the wrong background up. Oh, there we go. Got the right background now, guys. Okay, welcome back to Gardens, the Untold Story. Myself, Ken Somerville, and my co-host, Andy Lopez, the Invisible Gardener. Today, we're talking about why city water kills the soil biology and your own biology if you're drinking city water too, Andy, right?
I tell me why. I don't know why.
I'm hoping you're telling me. Chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and all kinds of stuff they're putting in the water to kill us. All right.
So I've been when I first started doing this, there are different levels, but when I was serious about it, it was 1970 when I got out of the service, and the very first problem I had was water. And I didn't like the city water. Even then, that was like in 1970. I didn't like the city water. It was just too sterilized. It didn't have any energy to it at all. The biology was not doing very well. You had to constantly be trying to keep them alive because they didn't like that stuff. You had to filter it. I remember going to the hardware store. And see, I was always this crazy. I was a wild and crazy guy. And I remember going to a hardware store, and I remember it was called, I forgot, Ace Hardware.
Yeah.
So Ace Hardware store, right? And I went in there and I said, okay, I want a shower filter. But I didn't ask for a garden filter. I said, let me see your shower filters, right? They have the little things. And so what I did was I bought the shower filter, and then I had him hook up both ends so that I could hook up to the garden bib, the shower filter, and then hook up the hose to the filter. Right, that was my first version of a garden filter, and that's what I used. I did because when I started doing that, and I started making my liquids, and even to this day, I have a filter in the truck, and I try to give them as much of the good shit as possible, right? Without any, because what's the point of growing this liquid and you using this chemicals in the water, which are meant to kill? They put chemicals in there to kill things, so whether it be microbial things or bacteria or whatever. There's a whole freaking list of chemicals and different sources of chemicals that are all in the water.
Yeah.
And that's right from the very first start. I started to figure out, because I remember having this garden filter that I would literally take with me and plug that into the water. And even to this day, I still have a garden filter. Well, now what I use is a Blue Skies garden filter. He has an excellent garden filter for a really good price. Until then, I was using various other different companies of garden filters, which are fairly good and decent too. There's more and more garden filters out there now because people realize that you got to stop using the city water. In my opinion, because there's a little list here of what city water can contain: chloride, chlorine, right, lead, fluoride, nitrates, arsenic. They can contain percolates, which are different kinds of things that comes from chemicals and stuff, like chemical fertilizers, chemical pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and then it's not even talking about forever chemicals or the microplastics are all in the water, which all end up in the soil.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's one thing if, because when it rains, supposedly you have clean water. Hopefully you don't have acid rain, but normally when it rains, you have clean water, and so the soil gets cleaned up. But nowadays, when you turn on your sprinkler system, right? It's not the clean water that Mother Nature would get. You're getting this toxic water mixture of chemicals that it's meant to kill the bacteria, which basically means it's meant to kill the soil.
Yeah. Well, anything that kills biology is because they treat the water, is designed to kill what we need in our soils and in our own bodies. And I'd like to just bring up Blue Sky, their webpage for just a second, guys, so you can see what Andy's talking about. And this is their garden hose water filter that they have available. So, guys, that's Blue Sky Biochar, and that's the one that Andy is talking about.
And that'll last. That'll last for about a year. 50,000 gallons.
Mm-hmm.
So, then you can. It's easy. You see, it's a very good price. I would buy two. maybe you say buy two, get one free. But and also too, there's a in the when I do the description of the show, I'm going to put a link to the whole property water filter system that a customer of mine discovered, and it's a really decent price considering that most places here in Malibu they buy a water filtration system for their properties $10,000 to $20,000. This is around $1,900, and if I had thought about it, I would have included their name in here. But you're going to find there's lots of them out there in the market that you can buy inexpensively to do your whole property, because that's the key to this whole biology thing. Believe it or not, that's what we talked about last time. Is about reducing and eliminating the toxins. I can't see people actually eliminating toxins because we have so much toxins that we can't. I don't think we're ever going to get to a place as a species of beings that we are actually having a really toxic-free environment, unless we're living in a spaceship kind of thing. Even then, maybe we'll have toxic environment in a spaceship. But you know what I mean? But so what we can do is to start to do it as clean as we can. That's one reason why we do things organically. That's one reason why I do organic things. I'm trying to do my first book is How to Heal the Earth in Your Spare Time. What I'm trying to get across to people is everybody can do something in their spare time.
Yeah,
that'll make a change. Everybody should do whatever it is that they can do on their own. So you can only do one thing. Well, great. Everybody does have something, and that's better than people are doing nothing at all. And so in terms of the chemicals that we use, we do have control, and to me it's identical to my personal life and what I learned about chemicals in your body, right? But I learned about what chemicals we put into our body, how our health, it makes a difference to our health. And when I learned about the biome, the biology of my soil and my tummy, I learned I learned there's a definite relationship between the biology of my tummy and the biology in the soil, right? And it's no coincidence that these toxins, chlorine, lead, fluoride, nitrates, arsenic, pharmaceuticals, pesticides, heavy metal, microplastics, are toxic to me as a living being. No question about that. And there's no question it's targeted to any level of living beings, whether it be the tiny little microbes to a giant elephant or a dinosaur. None of this stuff is any. It doesn't even talk. Oh yeah, look at that. I came up with something else. I just thought one more thing. Guess what it was?
What was that? What was it, Andy?
Radioactive.
Yeah. Well, like Lily here, she's saying what concerns me is the medical residue in the water, where I'm on well water, so I'm really fortunate in that way. But yeah, anybody drinking city water that's being reprocessed, a lot of that is wastewater, and you're getting all kinds of stuff out of there that your body doesn't want to have in it.
So I read an article that basically said they found in the water the various different what is it that we're getting vaccinated for the viruses? Those what are we getting vaccinated for anyway? It's a virus, right?
Okay, what? I was reading a comment.
I was just saying, what are people getting vaccinated for? It's the virus.
Viruses, yes.
The virus, right? So the that I was reading that they're finding them in human in a lot of these places that sell compost. Basically, what they have is they have bio sludge.
Mm-hmm.
Bio sludge is human waste that they have cleaned up and they reprocess it for compost.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the way it works. It's a giant tub. They take it, they run it through the stuff for getting glass out, plastics. They dry it out, and they love to give to sell it, but they can't even give it away because it's basically concentrated toxins.
Yeah.
Humans are very good at collecting toxins in lots of different ways. One of the ways they eat it, right? They eat lots of toxic shit, toxic. The shit and everything comes out really heavy toxin. Another way is it medicine. Whether they shoot it, whether they eat it, whatever they do to get that medicine into their body, that also comes out through the poop as well. And there's tons of other chemicals that we do from radiation that and the microbeads, microplastic now that we get into our bodies. So there's tons and tons and tons of amazingly clever ways that we can put toxics into our system, whether it be directly into our body or do it in the soil. What people don't understand too is that putting it directly, the chemical into the soil, you are putting it into and you're polluting yourself. You are directly giving it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no way you can be doing all this stuff to your soul and not get the feedback, which is basically, okay, now I got this very same stuff that I just been putting out, which is toxins, and you're going to get sick. That's the basic relationship that we have to learn is that all these toxins, because we're sort of like toxins, right? Big deal, right? I'm still here. No big deal, toxins, right? But unfortunately, it's going to be a time where you're not even going to be able to say, "Oh, toxins," because you'll be dead because the toxins will get to your system. But by that time, if you look around, you're going to see that there are lots of different problems on the earth that are going to be toxic because things won't be able to live in a toxic environment.
Yeah. Well, Kelly
coming down to.
Slater wanted to point out there's a girl on YouTube that did all the testing with tap water, and there was negligible effects on biology using the city tap water. I find that really hard to actually believe, but anything is possible. And then what city are you in? What was your base starting at? And anything that kills biology is bad for you, period. If it's killing biology, it's damaging your cells and your body's ability to generate cells in your human body or in a plant or in an animal.
Also, too, the regulations of what is allowed for cities to put into the tap water varies from city to city, from state to state. And so it depends where this test was done on their tap water, because it could have been very clean mountain water that they tested, or it could be a particular city that happened to be in a very clean environment, or maybe they picked out on purpose. Look, this water is perfect, right? But I would have done it with like picked water from each of the cities, LA City, LA, San Francisco, some places in Alaska, some places in Canada, different, and then measure those. That would be more accurate to say, because I know particularly that the city where I live, there's Ventura County and then there's LA County. In LA County, they allow things in the water that in Ventura County they do not allow in the water.
Yeah.
And so,
well, and Friar Piper here wants to point out to you guys, and this is very true, bacteria multiply so rapidly that you can't tell the difference after an hour. It's like when your compost heats up, that's actually the biology recreating itself, breeding. That's part of the reason that the heat is so drastic in compost, because of the bacteria that's multiplying. Once you get into the fungal section, then it doesn't multiply like that. But yeah, bacteria can just grow like almost, exponentially within moments. But that's what our compost teas are all about, and extracts and brewing them. We're brewing the biology. So are you growing good biology or bad biology, right?
So what I wanted to do is make sure that we don't miss the point about what's really happening with all these chemicals is that it's an accumulation. It's an accumulative effect. So we have all these things happening at the same time, whether we have micro beads, whether we have forever chemicals, or whether we have whatever, for fluoride, or there's not only fluoride, but there's a couple other gases that are added to water for that purpose of, it's actually for your teeth. It's supposed to be for the health of your teeth. But what happens is that so throughout the lifespan of the soil, if you are constantly bombarding the biology with some kind of external stress, which is the way it happens in nature, so evolution changes because there's a stress that keeps pushing it in that direction, something making it do that, right? Whether it be the times changing or whatever forces. So right now, what we're doing is we're actually creating a stress where we are bombarding this biology, all living things with all these amazing, incredible toxins you do not find anywhere else in any other galaxy, any other dimension, except right here. You know what I mean? Right here, right? And so the biology is going to have to either give it up or move on and do something else.
Yeah.
There's no real. You're not going to get living things out of all this mixture.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? So,
it makes a lot of sense. But one thing Scotty Timmons wanted to point out, the lines that the water run in has a lot to do with city water. Even though it tests good at the plant, it doesn't mean it's good when it comes out on your tap. So yeah, it's a matter of the biology. Like we talk, about biofilm developing in a hydroponic situation. That's the same stuff that's happening in our water lines, even in your own house, etc. But it's really dangerous for people not to realize that there is a danger in the first place. We've been told for so long that these things are cleaning our water, they're helping us, and now it's proven that no, it's not helping you. But they're not telling you that. It's like glyphosate. They lost their case in New York State, had to pay billions of dollars in compensation, yet it's still on the bloody shelves. So we know it hurts people, but hey, they're making money from it, so they're still selling it.
So one of the things that I found it's really interesting, because again, this is a continuing thing that I have as a business. So my business is to educate people. Believe it or not, that's the bottom line, is educate people what they're doing to their own planet, their own bodies. It's an interesting business because you can tell people, okay, pay me and I'll tell you what you shouldn't be doing to yourself.
Yeah.
Rather than, hey, I think you shouldn't be doing that. But I think that if they paid, maybe they'll value it more. But the problem lies in the fact that we're getting more and more wrapped up in producing, not only producing toxins, but eating toxins, and making toxins as if it was our natural part of our life, and at the same time we accept the fact that we're going to horribly die from one disease or one toxins or another, and you had better get you vaccinated because they're all the diseases are lining up to get you, and the insects are. I mean, I look at, for example, the Mother Nature. Okay, the Mother Nature is really cool how she does things.
Yeah.
And when you compare it to what mankind does in terms of toxins, right? So here's are toxins that are meant to kill biology, so it's definitely going to screw with the insects, okay, for one form or another, whether it be worms or whatever. And I'm finding that the insects are actually mutating. They go, fine, okay, fine, hit me with that, and I'm good with it. And they are mutating, not necessarily for the good, because I think that again, it's a natural law. If something happens that causes stress, and that stress happens to take you in a really easy way to go, is less, that less effort to get there, and that's going to happen. And so that's why these insects are mutating. So that basically means that you can't, the whole system of insects are only going to go after disease and pet disease, right, to clean them up, is no longer valid, because it's everybody, the whole system is diseased, and that means that it doesn't bode for a sustainable future. This is not a very sustainable environment. And
Yeah.
I left it up to you as to what I should talk about, and I think you chose an interesting one: why city water kills the soil biology. And it's to me, it's kind of insulting because city water should be clean water. Why would the city water kill it? So I don't want to insult people to basically say, you the water you're drinking, if it's from the bib, even the plastic jars, or those are even worse, the little plastic things are not the best thing you should be doing, because it's got more chemicals in there, whether it be the little tiny plastic beads, whether it be the chemicals, the forever chemicals are in everything now, and almost anything. And so it's water is a very essential thing, but you have to have clean water. That's why you want to get a filtration system. You want to learn how to drink filtered water. You can't not get healthy ingesting more and more toxins. Your energy system of your body will not work any more than the energy system and the earth. The earth's biology is really a living electromagnetic energy system. And the way it works is absolutely friggin' amazing, because energy is data, and data is information. That's why we like water. Water is very important for transmitting data and information. And so if it's toxic water that we're drinking, I mean, it's not even structured anymore. This water that we get from the city, it's unstructured, totally unstructured water. It's actually unhealthy because it can no longer hold the data. What the data that it does hold are these toxics, right? It holds these toxins. It holds these. Sometimes I would say diseases in there too. I'm not going to go that far, but I don't see any reason why disease couldn't survive this and mutate. It's the same thing with all the different diseases in plants. They are definitely mutating because they're no longer based upon whether you're sick or not. They're based upon eating everything, because everything is dying pretty much. You look around, you're going to see things are slowly dying. Human race is slowly dying, and it's just simply because of these toxics. There should be no question about water. Water should be the cleanest medicine you can get. That's why I tell the people are told, drink 5 quarts of water a day. Well, think about it. That's like lots of chemicals going through your body then. If you're drinking 5 quarts of plastic water or chemicalized
Toxic
water. Or right? So think about that. And your filter system in your body, it's like the filter system in the earth. The soil is the filter system of the earth, just like our stomach has a little soil in there. We filter it out, and you'll find that all the stuff that we're putting in is going to end up there. It's going to end up in that part of the body and the soil. That's going to say what's going to happen here now. And what it does is that it stops the transmission of information back and forth between the plants, between the root systems. It stops the transmission of food, right? Because food and energy are the same thing. And so the whole system shuts down to where you have basically little islands of creatures not connected anymore on the soil or in our bodies. I mean, I'm just spitting it out there, boys. I'm just spitting it out there.
Yeah. Well, I know Perpetual was just talking about their county or whatever is putting in an RO system. It's been like years in planning and building. And I personally use an RO system in my house for my drinking water, but I also put salt back in it because RO removes everything, or 99.9% of what's in the water. So you do need to actually regenerate that water with minerals into it. And I know, Andy, you do a lot of stuff on structured water, and I've studied a lot. Somebody's mentioned the Kagan system, but I know that what I did literally is I took a funnel, I bought a bunch of marbles at the dollar store, and I would literally cycle my water through the funnel. And in the act of it breaking apart, hitting the marbles, it actually allows it to structure itself. And that's the water I drink. And from the first time you drink it to pouring it through, you do that 3 or 4 times and you can taste the difference. It's like an amazing thing, be able to taste it in your water.
You're crazy, man.
I know I'm crazy, but not as crazy as you, Andy, because I haven't done half this crazy stuff you've done, brother.
So the interesting thing about water is that, see, it'll carry both good information and bad information. It's a hard drive. It's just like a computer hard drive. You can put anything on there you want to, right?
Yeah.
And so when we start doing these chemical things, we're actually imprinting, because all these toxic has a equal frequency. That frequency is the same toxic as that toxic. So when you think of microplastic, you have a certain frequency, or you look at chlorine or bromide or any of these other chemicals, they have a certain frequency. And so in terms of the soil, if we get to the point where you're not going to be able to like harmonize with nature, right? You're not going to be able to do your thing with nature. You're going to be separate. And it's going to be very, very difficult for all living things on this here planet to proceed, because it's based upon we all are in it together, right? We're all in it together.
We have to have water, like what our bodies are over 90% water. And what are you putting into your body? If you're not putting in good water going into your cells to create your cells, then you're putting in bad water. Why do you think we got so much cancer and all these other diseases? A lot of it is because of the memory of water that's going into your body is chemically activated and not good for you. So there's such a direct correlation to water and health that, you know, we've been missing. That's one of the reasons I put salt in as well, guys, into my water, because the salt actually allows the cells or the water to be absorbed into and through the cells that much more efficiently than not putting the salt in the water. So I know Lily was watching one show, and the woman, I think she was putting in like a teaspoon of salt in an 8-ounce glass, shooting that back, and then drinking 3 or 4 or 5 glasses after that to dilute it even more. But those minerals in those salts are so necessary, and it's micronutrients, guys, you know. So, you know, you don't have to have a huge amount of salt in your water, but that little bit is all mineralization. And Andy's talked about it over and over and over again, that we need these minerals in our bodies.
So what's really super interesting is when you mentioned that we're like a certain amount of water. I think it was 80%, 78% water. I think so, it's a number somewhere around.
I think it's a lot higher than that, Andy. I think it's in the 90s.
It's somewhere in there, because I was thinking that the water is what holds the information. So in our human body, water holds the data that we need for our body. See, right? And so and the ocean has all water information entirely different. But the salt is one of the key factors that connects us with everything else, and that's the crystallized energy of the salt. And I was watching Barbara Nelson talk about salt a lot too. You just have electrolytes. You have to remember also too that there's a big difference between chemically man-made salt and natural sources of salt. That's that's very important. Don't buy the chemical stuff, because there's so much stuff with salt now in the market. It's not the salt. It's been bleached out. It's been stripped of any energy.
The iodized salt is very toxic to your body.
Right. So it's no bueno. You want to get. I have a couple of different types of salt. I get attracted. So I have Celtic salt, for example. I have
Celtic sea salt. Yeah.
I have another one. There are three different brands of salt. I was at my Korean acupuncture lady, and she has salt from an ancient bed in North Korea that they use for medicine. So she has some. So I bought some from that. Very, very interesting energies of that salt. And so that's important, just not to do the chemical versions of salt, 'cause that's the worst stuff you can do, and definitely a little bit every day in your water. Ideally, that's what I do my morning ritual is a little bit different in the sense that every morning I don't do the same thing. One morning I will do my C90, so it's basically a colloidal. No, it's not colloidal. It's coated silver. It's called C90.
Colloidal silver, yeah.
No, coated.
I've never heard of coated silver. I've heard of iodized silver and colloidal silver.
This is coated silver, and I rotate because I do that 3 or 4 times a week, and then I rotate with Willard water. Dr. Willard created this water, which is basically a special structured water, rich in minerals, and made specifically for the human body to absorb. So I do it like a tablespoon of that 2 or 3 times a week, and then the other time I do my apple cider vinegar. So I have a glass of water and about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, the mother load. Right, so I rotate between those right there throughout the week, rather than one particular thing. I find that I really like doing that, but they are all very high. Really, the Willard water is amazing because that has 78 trace minerals in it. Yeah, and then I use the C90, which is also not just for plants, but it's also for people and pets, and that's 90 trace minerals in it.
Yeah.
The Celtic salt has 76, 78 trace minerals in it. And you definitely want to get as many wide range, because I talk a lot about minerals. It's true, because that's what it's really all about how Michelle said once, it's not how you eat, it's how you absorb it. Right? And so it's important that we get mineral sources in a form that we can absorb it, because a lot of times if you try to go, that's one reason why we can't eat rock dust, because you can't absorb the minerals, or there's many other forms that are you can't absorb. They're in a certain form, you can't absorb it. So you want to get, and the salts happens to be one of the easiest ways for your body sucks it right up.
Well, and that's what I was saying. It binds to the water molecules and is easier to transport into the cells. But guys, one of the things I found when I was looking into and researching treatment-free beekeeping is a gentleman that was watching his bees, and he set up an experiment where he had different types of salt and different amounts of salt in the water, and he watched what the bees were doing. So he's watching nature, and believe me, they went for a higher salt than anybody would think. And then I think it was Morton salt that is what they preferred over the Celtic, etc. So if we look and set up an experiment like that, and look where the birds go, look where the bees go, look where the animals go, because if it's not good for them, they're not going to go to it. And the reason he did the experiment is he had normal water set up, and he saw his bees not going to the water that he had set out, but going to puddles of mucky water, because that's where the minerals were. But when he set up the salt experiment, and he's a photographer, so very, very dedicated to what he was doing, he found that the bees needed or went to automatically the salt to get the minerals that they needed inside of the hive. So that's something that you can consider when you're looking and researching. Look at people doing or doing natural things like beekeeping that are doing this type of an experiment and look at nature for the answer instead of looking at a scientist, because a lot of scientist guys have been bought off. They're going to say one thing even though it's not the truth. They're getting paid to say that that's the right choice, whether it is or not.
Again, it comes back down to understanding that the biology is so very important, because without that, you don't really have a living planet. And so you have to look at the greater picture here. You have to say, okay, if we continue like this, the planet's just going to do its own thing. It may not be the kind of life that we want. And we do have the ability to fix this, but we have to pay attention to the toxins that we're spitting out.
Yeah.
We have to deliberately start paying attention. I mean, I feel bad because I can't talk for everybody. I can't say, well, I just drove a truck today, for example, my truck, right? You know, or I'm sitting here using electricity, all the things that produces all these toxins. And so it's a tough one. You have to do a little bit at a time. You have to do something. And so for me, what I do is I'm doing just what I'm doing now. I talk to people all the time. I try to tell them, look, every little thing you do, right? One little thing anybody does, you do this. Everybody does this. You do this. Just do whatever your best you can, rather than not doing anything at all.
Exactly. A little bit goes a long way where nothing gets nothing done. We have a question, Andy. What are your thoughts on sea moss for minerals?
The main thing you have to be careful with now with anything from the ocean, a couple of things: radioactivity, radiation. So you may do really good to get yourself. I have a Geiger counter, so if you have the ability to look at a product before you can buy it, hold it to the Geiger counter. If it starts going, your hand is now radiated.
If you're walking through the store with a Geiger counter, you're really in trouble, though, Andy.
Yeah. So I have a little Geiger counter that, because there are a lot of the stuff from the ocean. It's a series of things, because if you keep track of the latest accidents in nuclear power plants, some of the major ones are in the ocean related, and they may be out of sight, out of mind, but they're there, and the radioactivity is spreading, and it's a combination of, you have the microbeads. This plastic has a nasty habit of absorbing radiation. It does several things. Not only does it absorb radiation, well, first of all, plastic takes forever to return. It doesn't return to nature, right? It ends up becoming tiny little microbeads. Like 1 billion years from now, they're still there, right? And it holds radiation like forever. Forever is like, radiation is like forever too. Thousands of years before the right. And it holds pharmaceuticals, medicine. Oh man, medicine just collects it like crazy. The whole thing up. So you have this glob of radioactive, toxic medicine, right? Okay, you know what I mean? So it's a super, super toxic stuff that we have magically. I actually think it's going to form a being, or I'm some creature. My name is Howard. I don't know. But so that's the issue, is that we have to, and I don't know how to deal with this. I've been yelling and screaming for, I don't know, 60, 70 years now. I was like the guy in the corner, the end is near. And now I flip it over and I go, never mind, it's too late. But I don't have that. I keep erasing to try to say, it's not too late. But I don't think people get it. I think people just unconsciously do it, and it's just it's to me getting worse. And we talk. I don't know if we talked about very much of what's going on celestially in terms of going from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age. But that's what we're going through right now, and it's a very, very interesting set of occurrences that are happening. That the fishes, the Piscean fishes, the fishes in the ocean that are trying to figure it out, because the Aquarian age is a water bearer, water in the air, and the fish have to learn how to fly, and they're going, what the heck? What? So it's a very interesting transition that we have to go through, and so and we're doing, and in terms of our relationship to the Earth, because water bearers. That to me is a very earthly. It's really wind, but it's air, but it's really earthly because water is the key to everything on the planet, right? The water is important for plants, for birds, everything. So it's a very interesting relationship the gardener would have to water, right? He has to think with water. So I'm an Aquarian, I'm a water bearer, so I love the pouring water, and it basically means growing things. It means and the biology keys into clean water. It keys into that. What makes water clean? It makes it clean because it has the right structure, it has the right frequencies, it has the right energy, it has the right minerals that naturally are going to be in that data. So if these toxins, what they do is they erase that, and you have something else other than. So you may look at a plant, for example, when you're eating food. It's a perfect example. It's supposed to have all these minerals and all these things. Any bug with his right mind will look at it and go, "Wow, it's beautiful colors. It's got all the minerals, all that stuff, right?" But most people, if you didn't put it in there, because that's what happens. Plants look like they're food, but there's nothing there. As a matter of fact, what you're eating is the microbeads. You're eating a lot of toxins that your body's saying, "Well, this has got to be food. Yummy, yummy, eat it," but it's not. See what I'm saying, right? And so that's a big process that we have to go through both internally and externally. One of the things, reason why I call my music inner gardening, because that's what it's all about. You have to be an inner gardener. You have to say, okay, why am I eating this junk, right? Why is my leg falling off, or why is my left ball longer than my right ball? What is going on? Where's my brain? Wait, why is my eye popping out? Believe it or not, the toxic level have increased considerably in the last 5 years, last 10 years. It's more and more toxic outside, in your house, everywhere now than ever before on this planet. And some of this toxic are even the unseen. Okay, so there's another one I have to add in here. Guess what? I just thought of another one.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't say anything about microwaves. It doesn't say anything about all the electromagnetic frequencies that we're being bombarded with. And if we're being bombarded, the soil biology is also being bombarded with it. Mm-hmm. So here we have this plastic goop that's living, and now we're radiating it, and now we're also bombarded with frequencies. It's a monster waiting to become alive and do its thing, and that's the end of us, I think. Yeah. Sorry, folks. We might as well just forget about having a garden. Might as well forget about eating. Just go sit in the corner, and you'll be gone, because that's what's going on, right? That's what's happening. I mean, just look at the Earth. The Earth is saying, "I have to burp. I'm going to burp any moment now." Right.
Well, isn't that a volcano? Isn't that a good burp from Mother Nature? But I know Fried here wanted to mention they discovered bacteria that consumes plastic. He thinks it was in Japan. Yes, it's just like they've the bacteria that eats glyphosate. You guys got to consider Mother Nature has broken all these components they're using to make these chemicals. She's already broken that stuff down. Millions and billions of years ago, she's been dealing with this. So yeah, the biology is there, but it's ancient, an ancient biology that dealt with those, and it's only starting to resurgent when it's necessary. But there's ways we can help in what Mother Nature is doing, and that's what this channel is all about, because it's all about the biology. The more biology, the more diverse biology you have, the more spaces, organic spaces you have. So things like biochar and not working up your soil so that you have the clumps that form in there, the aggregation. That's where a university of biology is forming, and that biology is working on these problems. As long as you're not killing it, keep setting it back. It's like burning down your universities, for your education. The biology will develop the right code, the right biology to break these things down. but it takes Mother Nature a long time. The human species, guys, we don't have that long. We don't work on geological time. We work on a very short time scale. That is our problem, and what is going to kill humanity if we don't smarten up.
I was going to say something, but it took so long I forgot what I was going to say.
That's because you're tired, Andy. You're up. You've only had what, a couple hours sleep. You're absolutely exhausted. I can see it on your face, brother.
Am I? I don't
Yep.
see. I was trying to see my face, but it keeps blinking in and out. It's kind of weird.
You're fading. You're fading in and out. You're becoming invisible, Andy.
But I find what I think one of the things that people have to do is they have to understand that there's nobody else to do this. We are the ones that have to somehow change the way we do business. We have to somehow say, okay, we have to, because we can't stop. We can't say, okay, no, that's not going to happen anymore. We're going to do it this way. And I totally believe that. And there's always time. There's always time to fix things. The whole thing of Chernobyl, there are animals living there already and birds living over there. Mother Nature. And by the way, what I was going to say, I remember now, is that they had already discovered their bacteria could eat plastic quite a few years ago. Years ago. And not only eat plastic, but they have bacteria that eat various different sources of radiation. There are different types. Even they discovered a bacteria, because there's a theory that asteroids would bring oxygen to Earth when they crashed on the Earth, right?
They brought oxygen, or they brought biology?
Well, no, there's a couple of different theories. One of them is that meteorites would bring water to Earth when they crash. And the other one would be that the meteorites would have oxygen embedded in the rocks. When they come to the Earth, they blow up and they provide O2 molecules or whatever, So those are one of the theories of how water came here, because they were also saying basically the same amount of water we had now is the same amount of water we've had ever since the beginning. There's no difference in the amount of water; it's just been recycled over and over and over again.
Well, and you look at some of what we're tapping into. They call it Jurassic water. I think that's the term they're calling it, but it's ancient water that's been captured underground for tens of millions of years, and those are some of the aquifers that they're tapping into in places like Egypt and the Sudan and a lot of countries in those areas. There's millions and trillions of liters of water that they've found, and it's what they call prehistoric water. Maybe there's a certain term for it. It's just not flashing into my head right now. But that's the basis of our planet is based on water, based on carbon, which we're trying to capture now and get away with, which we all need to have. But it's carbon and water, and then the basic things that make up a cell. But without that water, then we don't exist. It's like you can live for a long time, I think 10 days or more without food, but you can't live more than 3 days without water. That's how important that water is for us. And that's why we're talking about water today, is because it is so important for your health, your plant's health, etc. And it's just one of those things we can't exist without.
So start by, if you own your own place, look into whole property water filtration system for your whole property. Not just for your shower, but for when you're drinking, and more particularly for your garden. I have a customer who already had a water filtration system for the house. And I said, well, now you have to go out and get a water filtration system for the garden. And the water company says, you're doing what? You're getting a water filtration system just for the garden? I've never heard of that. when these people are the ones who should be yelling out the loudest, get a water filter for your garden, right?
Yeah. You would
And
think they would be.
and so that's a whole different field in there. But what's interesting too is and I wanted to add it up in terms of water, because if I had a property, I would learn how to recycle my water through my plants.
Yeah.
Plants can filter out the water. You can have pure, clean water on the other end. When I was in Florida, we did a pool with fishes in it with fresh water, no salt water, no chlorine in it. It didn't. It may have a blue light, ultraviolet that it would go through, but basically it would get dumped into a little area of water lilies and waters and different levels. And the water will come straight back out again and get used over and over again. No problem at all with bacteria. And that's what you want. That's why so the water filter for your garden is the easiest way to start providing clean water to your garden. It's I like the Blue Sky, but there's a whole bunch of them on the market. Oh, yeah. You have to see with something close by. Just be careful, don't buy them too cheap, because if it's too good to be true, it's not going to work. It just doesn't filter anything out there. But you definitely, you'll find that, especially if you're making biological sprays.
Yeah.
Consider gray water. I only use laundry and toilet. I only drink reverse osmosis with filtered water and cook and brew treat and coffee. That's right. I have a 3-stage filtration system for my place. And if I was to buy a place, I would actually fix up a much better filtration system for the house, because there are ways you can clean all the water up to be really nice. And if you start using it on your garden, you'll be surprised. So one person told me, she says, I don't know what's going on, because I love sprouts. So I get some sprout seeds and I put them in, soak them in water. And then I drink some of the liquid because the rejuvenate is so cool. And I try to spray on the plants, but it doesn't seem to really make any difference. And I said, okay, so you missed the one part. You must have gone to the bathroom when I was talking about this one part of the show, because you obviously missed it. You guys can tell what it was, right? You can tell, can't you? You give me one reason why you think the lady missed what she did wrong. Yeah. You got 1 second, man. Come on, that's it.
I got 1 second, because most people are programmed not to look at nature as nature. They're taught and programmed to look at the chemicals are the way to go. That's why we, use chemicals.
It's the main thing that when I was talking about using any of these magical sprays, whether you make it from rice or whether you make it from your plants, is living biology in the water, right? And if you use city water you never use city water to clean your sprouts with. You don't want to drink the rejuvenate that comes out of city water. Are you kidding me? Right? That's not going to work. And then of course you just stripped all the biology from the sprouts in this junk that you're going to throw away. Rainwater is excellent to you, see, right?
Yeah.
So that's the whole and that's why she wasn't getting anywhere, because she said, "Are you using a filter for your water?" No, dear. Well, there you go. Your city water just killed all your biology and your sprouts, and there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing except the fluoride or whatever else chemicals in there. Oh, well, that's nice.
We're going to be doing the giveaway right away, Andy. So I'm just getting it set up in the back end here. But guys, I just clicked the wrong button.
Yeah, you broke it.
Okay, am I coming back? Okay, there, I'm back. I clicked the wrong button to do that. But guys, one of the things to consider, and I've watched a lot of videos on filtering water over the years, and you can literally take a tree stem, bend it over, put it in a glass and use it as a siphon, and the tree, the stalk will literally filter your water. Like if you're in a situation where you don't have bottled water, you're out in the middle of nowhere, that's one way you can just take a stem from a plant and filter the water through the stem, and the stem clean out all the bad stuff, and then put that out in the sun, and that is going to sterilize all the rest of the bad biology out of that water, and you're going to be drinking some fantastic water.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm going, man. Look at that. I'm going. There you go.
Fading.
That's me. Oh, there you go. So I know we were talking about water, and I know that it's important that we understand that water is the key to it, but it has to be clean water. Yeah, you have to realize that water will take on all kinds of toxins into its system. You have to give the biology a fair chance. Basically, mean use filtered water. You don't even go to the store. The one lady went to the store and bought these gallons of plastic jugs of water. Oh, it says distilled on it, right? It says distilled on the label, but the plastics that the water will, the plastic in the jug will write itself to the water.
Now, Michelle wants to talk about boogie filters next, but guys, hashtag compost. If you want to win Andy's or copy of Andy's book, then you need to put in hashtag compost. And guys, Andy's been a little slow on getting the books out, but he's catching up here right away. So if you've won, make sure that you sent your email properly to it's all about the biology at gmail.com. But Andy, you talk about the boogie filter, and then we'll go and we'll do the draw.
Yes, another great garden filter is actually called Blue Boogie.
Okay.
It's been around for quite a long time. It's the next one I want to use. I used it on and off myself for many years. It's called Blue Boogie. It's about the same price as the Blue Sky one. I actually have blue in it too, right? Both of them have the blue. I guess it means water, clean water. So that's and you just have to find whatever one's in your local area. Like I said, don't buy it if it's too cheap because then it doesn't work. But there's tons of them on the market now. eBay, you can just go nuts with them, and all the other stores online. Just on Google, just Google it. You're going to find tons and tons of different kinds of water filter systems, inexpensive, that you can use. That's what you want to do. You also do want to look up whole property water filtration systems. And it depends on what part of the country you're in. I would do something locally. You'll be surprised how easy you can filter out the water, especially if you're taking a bath in it because your skin absorbs it too, and you're drinking it all the time. You want to stop doing that to your plants because your plants are getting basically chemical salts all the time. And if you ever want to repot a plant, you'll see that the inside is coated with this white salt, these white chemicals that you get from the city water.
Yeah. Now the chat's talking about some different stuff. We're talking about distilled water, and guys, that's water boiled, and you're capturing the vapors. And they're talking that, yes, that's your medical grade water. It's stripping everything out of it so that when they're doing experiments. But the other thing is, it's just basically like your RO water. If you're adding the minerals back into the water that's necessary for your body, then you're okay. My sister literally almost died because her family was drinking distilled water, and it did strip everything good out of their bodies, right? So that's what we're talking about. You need to, if you're using RO water or distilled water, you need to add that salt or those minerals back into it for it to be good for your body.
Water has a way of all the minerals, 90 mils of writing to water. Other minerals will write to water. So if the water has been stripped of other minerals, it's going to naturally attract whatever minerals it can get its hands on.
Exactly. And it's going to pull it out of your cells where your biology needs it to build a healthy cell. So, but
normally Normally, you should get your minerals. The best sources are from your vegetables you eat and the food you eat. But normally, if you grow your own food and you know you put minerals into the soil, then you know you're gonna get minerals out. A
Yeah.
lot of times, you think the organic would be done correctly. They're not. They don't put any minerals in it. They grow. It looks really good. Mineral deficient. You'd be trace mineral deficient, and so
Yeah.
you have to uh, know where your food's coming from, or grow it yourself,
Yeah.
or even if you buy food that people say, yeah, we put a lot of minerals, you always will continue to take your own source of trace minerals. Like I said, I use a couple of different sources because I believe in having a blend of different types of trace minerals. I have 3 or 4 different types of salts. I use a C90, and then Dr. Dr. Willard water is one of the best source of minerals for the body. And so I
Yeah.
take that on a regular basis myself. And so that's what you want. You want a wide blend of, just like in the garden. That's why you want to key into the bacteria, the biology, and the minerals. A wide range of minerals. As most
Yeah.
96 trace minerals you need to get it together there. See, rather than
Yeah.
just the 10 or 5 or 4. That's what happens. People say, well, you should have the 5 trace minerals, 6 trace minerals, and they say the basics, right? No, you need the basics. You just have the walls. You still got to do floors, doors, windows. You got to build the whole setup.
The whole periodic table of elements is what our bodies are made of. Maybe we should be looking at it in that aspect. But Andy, we're at the 1 hour, guys.
Go for
I'll
it.
give you a couple more seconds to put in hashtag compost. I've only got 3 entries on here, guys, and there's a lot more than that watching the show. So if you've already won, then yeah, you don't have to put your name in. But other than that, guys, if you want to grab a copy of Andy's book, this is a fantastic way to get that done. And yes, Canaflex, yours is already in there. Andy, a last word before we do the draw?
Last word.
Oh, man, that's just really harsh, Andy. Last word. All right, guys, we're going to run the draw, and we'll see what happens here. We've got a couple of people that have already won. So we got Canaflex. You were saying you needed the book, brother. So there you go. Canaflex, send me an email at it'sallaboutthebiology@gmail.com. So the name of the channel, It's All About the Biology @gmail.com. Make sure you're sending me your address and a cell phone or a phone number so that Andy can get it out to you as soon as he gets his butt off the couch. And him and Michelle are supposed to be working on this together. So, Michelle, get your butt off the couch too and help Andy out and get that out to the people. So, Canaflex, send that to me, and I'll send your information to Andy, and he'll send you out your book.
Make sure you include your phone number.
Yep. Well, Andy, that's it for the show, brother. Until next week, guys. On Monday with Leighton. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly, but he was, I believe, one of the people that was at Camp Compost, just like Tim Hammond from last week was. So you're going to want to check that out for this coming Monday. It's a gentleman, I believe it's a Mayan background, and he's been doing a lot on the organic and the energetic for a long time. That's going to be next Monday. And then, of course, Andy and I next Wednesday. As long as Andy's still alive and I'm still alive, guys, we're going to be here. So peace out, everybody. Andy, say goodbye, buddy.
Say goodbye, baby. Bye.